How's everybody doing? I think you know, and welcome back to Cities Skylines, East Yorkshire, and the city of Kingston. In today's episode, we're focusing on one thing and one thing only: big, sustainable growth. Probably not for this channel, but definitely for the city. I had a friend reach out to me recently, and he asked, how many episodes are you planning of doing for this thing? And I said, I originally thought, maybe 25 if the series went over well. But then I realized this is already episode 7, and I definitely have not been able to grow the city as quickly as I would have liked. So the overall goal today is to fix that. What you're seeing first here is another quick design of an interchange just outside to the west of the city. This is modeled after a actual interchange that exists in Hull, which kind of, as you'll see me build, swings up and then flies over at a very tight curve through what will eventually be a neighborhood. And it always kind of struck me as odd, since this is a very heavily traveled road often with big trucks on it that need to significantly slow down in order to navigate these turns. But the main reason for building it in the city is that I need to start planning out additional areas. If you hang around to the end, there will be a sneak preview of the marina area, and I've actually even built a couple of blocks that are part of the time lapse, but in the live play for sure, at the end we're going to be talking more and looking more at the marina area. The marina is a part that I've really wanted to build for a long time, and I really just don't think that I can get the full experience of the old town without first building out the marina to some extent. So what you're seeing here is just kind of extending a road across the bottom, the area in between the main road and the water, and just making a few connections, planning things out, setting up the on and off ramps, getting it ready for the future. But for the majority of today, we're not going to be working on the marina area, although again, we will touch it at the end. We're actually going to be looking mostly at the old town. The old town we've already placed a decent amount of in earlier episodes, particularly the first couple of episodes. Go back and check those out if you haven't. But it's just not enough. The church needs to be detailed, more blocks need to get built, and that's what we're getting into here. One thing that I really love, though, in general, I'm a big fan of, is transit infrastructure. And I live in New York City, where we have this fantastic and frightening at the same time subway system, which I love to ride as often as I can, even during COVID. But while there definitely won't be a subway in Kingston, I definitely wanted to plan ahead for some additional bus routes. And if you remember back to, I don't know if it was episode 2 or 3, where after we built the dock area, we did lay in one bus route that is working really fine, seems very popular in the city, and it is a good starting point to move on from. But I knew that the city center area needed its own bus stop as well. Even though the city is scaled so small and the train station and main bus depot doesn't seem that far away from this, there'd still be a lot of people within the city who, they don't want to fight through the traffic and get to the train station. They're trying to go to the park. They're trying to go to the pub. They're trying to go shopping at the market, wherever it may be, and they need to get here. They need to get to where the park is and really the epicenter for the whole city center. So what I've done here is I've laid down a taxi stand on one end, and on the other end, with the right road, able to get this nice, really obvious bus bump out, and laid down these shelters with the glass, and then thought about that white tile again, but I really don't want to beat it to death, so made it a little more grim looking and stuck in these asphalt decals. But after doing that, I really just went on a roll. And what you're going to see coming up is the kind of filling in of blocks in the city that I want to really be able to do every episode from here on out. Really making sure that I don't think too much, I'm not looking too much, I just have to sit down and build. And you'll see here I'm just kind of navigating this really awkward square, and trying to keep that old town feel, smaller buildings, mostly residential buildings, and trying to use the decent variety that I have in the assets to fill in this space appropriately. What has really been frustrating for me with the old town is the relatively limited amount of assets that I have. So there are so many great downtown assets or city assets for more European cities, but a lot of the UK assets that exists on the workshop, there's definitely a much bigger focus towards residential buildings that would lay just outside the city center. These kind of, Victorian, classic looking British homes, attached houses for rows and rows on end. And I'm looking forward to that. We're going to get there in the next couple episodes, I think. I'm going to branch out because doing one of those neighborhoods will be able to let me fill in a lot very quickly. But in the old town, I have to be a bit more creative. So I have this angle, that's actually a French house on the far end there next to the taxi stand. But I thought it really worked well here as, the last remaining bit. I'm thinking the back end of this block maybe got bombed out at some time or has just seen better days. So I fenced in the buildings behind to give them some separation of space to the actual bus stop. And then I have what I think is my favorite idea of this entire video, and I'm not sure if it's going to show up too well here, or I'm not sure if I'm going to make it the thumbnail, but I found this it's a set of buildings that you can stack together and, make your own, build your own buildings asset set. And I just kind of put the door prop into the side of the building here and turn this into a little beer garden. Bunch of tables and chairs, got a few kegs, garbage cans, throw a little graffiti in there, and I think it does a really nice job of filling in the space. Because otherwise, the main way I've been filling in space in a lot of the parts of the city has been with parking. And you'll definitely see a few parking lots being built today, but I definitely got a little bit creative with them, and I kind of like what I ended up with. Moving on to the next block here, this is a major square block right at that intersection where the park ends, where the government center is, and I thought it should look a little more built up, a little more regal, a little more, kind of focus on that building on the end. I think it's the Royal Naval House it's called. It's actually an asset from Sydney, but I thought it worked really well here, and you'll see in a minute I'm actually going to end up covering up the back of it to take away that kind of modern hump it has on the back and really make it blend in well with its surroundings. It took me quite a while to find the right building to put into this corner spot. There was a building I looked at that I just thought, that building's too American. This building was way too American looking, but I did hold it there for a second. I thought about it, but it just looks too modern. And here's the thing with Cities Skylines. When you got thousands of assets in there, sometimes you forget what you have. And I get a little antsy and I start digging through my Rico assets, which don't always show up quite right when you're using Find It, I find. And yeah, I find this I think it's a Dutch building, but I love the green domes on the side of it. Hull and a lot of older UK cities tend to have a lot of buildings with domes on them, or cupolas, or whatever you might call them. And I just think that building fits in really well. And as you can tell here, just sneaking in a parking lot. I'm not using the parking lot roads here, which I don't use too often, and I think I just need to get better with, but they're definitely a really nice option. I love the pavement texture and just the way they interact with their surroundings. I think they're a really good parking lot to add to your arsenal if you play the game and you haven't used it already. And while we're in the middle of builds here, I wanted to just talk real quick and thank everybody who commented on the video last week about my new narration style. I mentioned on the last video that I've moved away now from writing scripts, and instead I am voicing over the entire video after it's edited and while it's playing in front of me. And it's definitely a bit of a challenge. I've struggled a bit tonight to get this going quite right, but I'm really enjoying it, and I really appreciate all of your positive feedback on that. So I'm definitely going to continue to do that for now and hopefully continue to improve at it. What you're seeing here is another awkward square that I'm just kind of improvising on, layering over a lot of buildings on top of themselves. which is you know, a fantastic technique to use, and an easy one, a common one, but never fails. So again, just throwing some graffiti, some trees around, and yeah, just really happy with how this is all coming out. It's really tough to be stuck in that rut of not quite knowing what to do in your old town when you know you can't move on to other parts of your city before you complete it. Another comment we've had in the past is about cobblestones. Not enough cobblestones, not enough cobblestones. So my problem with the cobblestone streets is I don't really like a lot of the cobblestone street assets. They either have built-in arrows or a lot of, you know, street props, or they don't connect well with the UK roads that I'm using on this build. But this is a cobblestone road that I've actually used before when I've done the New York build. And I think it's called Paris 1901, and there's a one lane, this skinny one, and there's a 2-lane wider road. And I've used a few of those here in the Old Town, and I think I might have used a few of those in the marina as well, but also just a really versatile asset. So now I'm taking the church here and I'm just wrapping it in stone, giving it a nice stone wall, and putting those end caps, you know, around some key areas. I definitely switched up the footage a little bit here, so you'll see some of this build now, and you'll see it briefly disappear in the next clip. But just giving the church a nice detail, throwing some trees around it, putting a bunch of benches down, and eventually building a little side entrance in the back as well. Oh, and all the tile, different tile this time. I swear, no more white tile. It's done. If you like it, it's too bad. It's over. White tile is over. This tile is my new friend now. And after throwing down some benches, you're going to see us get into even more Old Town building. While we're waiting for that to show up, though, I did a live stream on Twitch a couple of weeks ago, and it went over pretty well. Had some, you know, nice people attend and say what was going on. But I wanted to get your thoughts. Should I continue to stream on Twitch, or would you like to see the streams right here on this channel on YouTube instead? I'm toying with the idea of doing the streams here, recording them, you know, actually building new stuff in this city during those streams, and then, you know, letting those videos be on the channel, but then, you know, in the actual episodes, in the pre-recorded, more traditional episodes, having whatever footage we record in the live stream just be quickly recapped during the live play portion of the video, just so nobody who doesn't watch the live streams or doesn't go back and watch those videos misses out. While I'm on the topic of things I'm considering, another one that I'm not only considering but like actively prepping for, though I'll caution that I haven't 100% made a decision yet, is bringing back my New York City 1-to-1 build. A lot of you may know me from that, or may have seen that video on my other now dead channel under a different name. But yeah, I just miss it. I miss working in that city, and the scary part is knowing that if I did want to revive that, it wouldn't really be a revival, it'd be a redo. Because this is before I was doing YouTube, and I don't have any footage recorded of me building for hundreds of hours in that city. Like, I think I had about 200 hours in total on that city, and, you know, I have to be redoing a lot of that if I wanted to do that for YouTube. Don't worry, if I do end up going that route, Kingston, East Yorkshire is going to stay. I still want to work on this city. I've been putting together a collection in the workshop so that I can toggle between my two saves if that's what I decide to do. And yeah, I'm going to keep thinking about it. I'm not going to say yes or no just yet, but stay tuned to my Twitter. It's @IThinkYouKnow, and to this channel, of course, to see if there's updates coming soon. So what you've been seeing in the background here is, like I said, just another big block in the city center in the Old Town that I wanted to fill out. And this street's at a weird angle, so getting this parking lot helped in really helped balance the terrain height in between the buildings facing the back and the buildings facing the highway. And I really like the way that block looks. I really like that feature in Hull in real life, because even though this is essentially a highway, you do have buildings that directly face it. The problem with the highway being directly in between your city and its marina is that you have to cross a busy highway to get across. Now, in real life, there are crossings with lights that let you walk over the A63, and cars have to stop and people get through, but it's windy gates and it's just dangerous, and it takes a lot of time, and it really separates the city from itself. So as part of the upgrade that they're doing on the interchange, if you would watch that episode, Hull has also built a bridge over to be a permanent crossing. And the crossing in real life just opened recently within the last few months, and is gorgeous. It's this nice white ornate structure, and it costs millions of dollars, and it's been a big deal for the city. But in Kingston, we got to go a little grimier than that. So I've just put in a forget who makes this bridge on it's a pedestrian bridge on the workshop. I've actually never used it before. I'm going to use it all the time now. It's excellent. They're really, really good assets. And I just kind of laid that in because I know once I start building anything in the marina area, and here's your little preview, by the way, that I'm going to need the other residents of the city a way to get there. So that little footbridge comes in handy, and I'm really happy with how that came out. For the rest of the marina, the road layout here is a little bit too grid-like for me, and you'll see in a minute I'm going to break one of the grids up, and I think when I finish this area in a future video, more of that grid will get broken up. But I've already connected this in and out to the highway and in and out to the city center, so once I started laying down buildings here, it really came to life quite fast. And I just finished this main block here. I believe it's just this one block before we'll get to the live play. But really just kind of putting in a mix of buildings here, and because it's more open and it's just bigger, maybe we'll put in some assets like that that kind of double-sided Irish building on the left across from the parking lot, the one that I'm touching there. That yeah, it's just different, and being able to put in some newer assets when I feel like I've been repeating a lot of the same ones in the old town felt good. I don't stick around here a lot because, as you can see, it's jittering around a little bit, and that's because of some terrain defects. But we'll see a lot more of this area of the marina when we go to the live play right now. And here we are in the live play, and let me just say, I'm really enjoying doing these live plays. I know I skipped one a few weeks ago, and I definitely will make sure this is a regular part of the videos going forward, but as you can see here, I have finished the old town, finished this entire section of the city center, and I want to take you through a few of the areas that were not shown during the time lapse. So my favorite one by far is right over here. Let me spin you around. I had this kind of awkwardly curved block in between some of our main sites here, and there's a very famous street in Hull, and I'll be honest, I'm blanking on the name of it. Maybe it's Prince. I'll have to look that up. But it has all these really nice, differently colored painted houses, and I kind of wanted to work that in someplace in this build, and it really worked well right here. Threw a few different colors in, and I'm just really liking the way that looks. Really makes this whole block feel really cohesive. Moving on from what we saw in the time lapse, what I also filled in just before was a whole bunch of the blocks over here. So I've extended out this large block of modern houses and thrown in a few older ones on the side, filled in a small park area here, and another large parking lot, which is actively being used, which I love to see. A few more apartment buildings, just trying to clutter as close to the edge of the waterfront here as I can. And I definitely want to go back at some point in the future and do a bit more detailing in this area overall. But honestly, I'm really happy with how it came out, and it gives me enough of that push now to move outside of the city center and really start expanding the city. But as you can see right now, it is moving. It is starting to hustle and bustle a little bit. I even threw in a couple of pedestrian pathways just like snuck in between some buildings. There's one over here as well. And just seeing, how the different, citizens find their way around is always nice to see. And before we finish up this video, I'm going to show you what I told you I owed you. Sneak peek of the marina. So we saw a little bit of this getting built during the time lapse, but here is the grid in and of itself. Got just that one large block filled in. I can't quite figure out what to do with these yet, but I have a few ideas cooking around. I need to fill in this block that abuts the road, similar to how these were filled in, but because I've been able to make this more square, I'm thinking I'm really going to be able to make that really nicely jam-packed. But that's really it. I'm super happy with how this came out. I'm really enjoying getting to do a nice video that feels a bit longer than usual. And in the next couple of videos, what we're going to be seeing is probably building out more of the marina or some of this area down here. I'm really itching to do the football stadium, which I'll either put up here or will be put down here. I haven't quite decided yet, but that's definitely coming up in the next couple of videos. And yeah, just growth. We need to make this thing bigger. We need to really push ahead and do what we can to expand the city of Kingston. So thank you all so very much for sticking around. If you're still here at the end, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll catch you soon. Thanks. Bye.